What's the worst concept in the pantheon of Western philosophical concepts? I want to say it is the central concept of ethics, or at least a good candidate for the central concept of ethics. Maybe the good is the central concept of ethics, but maybe in Western ethics, happiness, eudaimonia, well being, flourishing, etc., are the number one ethical concept. I don't know how we rank that. All right. But, okay, so Aristotelian ethics, as you may know, or I'm going to review in a second, again, rests on the notion of happiness. Virtue ethics traditionally rests on the notion of happiness. So does utilitarianism, of course. Or maybe with their hedonistic conception of happiness, lots of pleasure and not much pain. Anyway, it runs, throughout, and now it's been a fad these last 25 years or whatever in psychology, positive psychology. Go read Arthur Brooks in The Atlantic or whatever. Find out how you can get well-being or happiness. Happy, happy, happy. Here's Aristotelian. All right, so just to say a couple things. This is where I'm heading pretty quick here. Happiness is a pseudo concept. It's not even close to being a concept, all right? It just means whatever you want all at once. It has no content. It's a variable. It's an X. It's useless. It has no meaning, which is why it's in use all the time. It seems rich. It seems important. I'm asserting straight up it's empty. And straight up empty in Aristotle. Okay? In Mill. All right. So here's the Nicomachean Ethics, Terence Irwin's translation. The highest good is happiness. This is how it starts. The highest good, happiness. The highest good is the supreme in the hierarchy of goods. That's tautologous, right? Like a lot of this. Every craft and every investigation, and likewise every action and decision seems to aim at some good. Hence, the good has been well described as that at which everything aims. So all human activities, all human decisions, all human actions are teleological in orientation. I mean, this is famously Aristotle's basic point. Yeah, well, I reject that entirely. Well, not, I mean, I reject that as a global account of human action, for sure. And there's no argument for it here, right? This is just a series of assertions. Don't give any reasons here in Book 1 of the Nicomachean Ethics. Not at all. All right. Suppose then, this is marginal page 20. Suppose then that A, there is some end of things we pursue in our actions which we wish for because of itself, and because of which we wish for other things. Suppose then that there's some end of everything we pursue in our action which we wish for because of itself, and because of which we wish for the other things. And B, suppose that we do not choose everything because of something else. Because C, if we do, it will go on without limit, making desire empty and futile. Then clearly D, this end, will be the good, i.e. the best good, the highest good. All right. Most people identify that good with happiness, but they disagree about the nature of happiness. And so now, why is happiness or eudaimonia, or flourishing, whatever we want to do with that, why is that the name of, why should we call the ultimate telos of all human stuff happiness? because that's what most people call it. That's what he says right there. Sometimes one wonders about Aristotle the arguer. Sometimes it really is very, very impressive, and sometimes it's really not. And the underpinnings of the Nicomachean ethics, and hence of Western ethics, roughly, really not. Okay, so this is a series of assertions, bald assertions. Every activity ends with an end, etc. And a series of definitions. And now we're purporting to get a completely kind of substantive empirical ethics out of that. And I'm asserting that that's not going to happen at all. Okay, so here's what I think basically. I argued this very briefly in Entanglements, a System of Philosophy. I've been arguing this to anyone who will listen for a very long time. Happiness is a concept with no content. And you could put any concept in there that is used in this regard, like the good, eudaimonia, well-being, flourishing. Right? The argument, the way it goes here is like, of course we desire everything for happiness, for the sake of happiness, and happiness, we don't desire happiness for the sake of anything else. This is true of any word that has a built-in positive value valence. Okay, maybe that's a little too strong. But let me give you 17 words, terms, concepts. These aren't really concepts, though. That do just as good at happiness as at expressing the ultimate goal, and for the same reasons. All right. Grooviness. No rational person could choose what they know to be less groovy over something they know to be more groovy. Right? True by definition, I think. Amazing. Or the one I looked up, I looked in a online thesaurus today for amazing or whatever, and I got amazeballs. Amazeballs. Well, every rational person wants stuff that's more amazeballs and will get rid of stuff that's less amazeballs than the optional more amazeball stuff. Everybody wants stuff that they regard as positive. Is that supposed to be an insight? I think it doesn't say anything except that if you want it, you want it. Right? Okay, so happiness is a variable, an X, meaning everything you want all at once. It's totally different for different people, actually, and in different situations. Okay, so if it is a variable, meaning everything you want all at once, Chardonnay and Clooney or something, okay, you get to imagine what it is that will make you ecstatic, I guess permanently ecstatic. Not one of the possibilities, sorry. Aristotle knows that at least. Okay. Any concept with a built-in positive value valence does just as well at describing the ultimate goal of all human life and the central concept of ethics. Right? Also, just as good in delineating what rationality is. Rationality is the effective pursuit of the good. Rationality, you're rational if you effectively pursue the good as happiness. So the rational, it is rational on Aristotelian account of rationality, practical rationality, to pursue happiness. All right. So, defining rationality as the pursuit of amazeballs is exactly as good. Now, I hate to be ripping apart the whole of Western ethics like this so quick. Hard not to, though, right? But who has said this, really? Okay, I'm sorry. Now, I think so maybe here's a substantive an apparently substantive account of what happiness is. Lots of pleasure and little pain. Right? The Mill utilitarian account. Hedonism. Happiness is the one desirable thing, or the overall most desirable thing, true by definition, sorry. And it consists of pleasure, lots of pleasure and very little pain. All right, well, who doesn't want that, dude? Right. Well, lots of people don't actually. People pursue stuff that's not pleasure or pain in any substantive sense of those terms all the time. But pleasure and pain have the same problem as happiness. That is, they are variables. I don't think that the things we think of as pleasures, like sexual pleasure of orgasm, the pleasure of reading a good book, the pleasure of taking a warm bath, the pleasure of reaching the moon on your moonshot, the pleasure of making $1 billion or whatever, like we might tack the same word on all those experiences. That's just a testimony to the impoverishment of language or something like that, or our impoverished intelligence, which wants all those to be the same kind of thing. They're not at all the same kind of thing, and they don't, I'm going to speculate, they don't light up all the same center of your brain either. Cocaine and Shakespeare. I don't think so, but maybe I'll wait for the results. Lots of pleasure and very little pain. It sounds good, it sounds contentful, but it just means, again, you want what you want. Now, in the happiness case, it means like you want everything you want. Duh. And in the pleasure case, it means you want each thing you want. Duh. Okay? These are not concepts, man. These are blanks. And you're shooting blanks. In the positive psychology stuff, there's nothing going on at all. It's just whatever each person, as they fill in the questionnaire, takes happiness to be. That is, you just picture Chardonnay and Clooney, and you answer the questionnaire, how happy are you? Pretty unhappy, because pretty far away from Chardonnay and Clooney, I guess. But so what are you studying, man? How people use this contentless concept? All right. Now, it's true that I think that's an important insight that should really destroy ethics, okay? Or just really remake this whole fucking thing, okay? Or a lot of it. It eliminates some possibilities and encourages others, perhaps. But no one has even noticed that anyone has ever said this. Much less that I said it in Entanglements. So against happiness, like, I mean, I'm not, I'm against the concept because it's just nonsense, and so is this.